Hi, welcome back to Mind Control. Hope you enjoy the video.
You, early on, I don't know, 2012, 2013, seemed to be a proponent. Then you kind of soured on it. Where are you now? Are we a proponent, not a proponent? How do you think about it?
I do own a small amount of Bitcoin, and the reason I did it was I was teaching. I'm a guest lecturer at Harvard, MIT, Notre Dame, Temple, Waterloo, McGill. I teach graduating cohorts of engineers. And at my last Harvard meeting regarding this sector, the class challenged me to buy not just Bitcoin, but just get involved in cryptocurrency. Because their argument was, look, I have a 5% weighting in gold. Each quarter, I have bullion, which I store and I pay to store it. And I also use ETFs to balance each quarter to up or down to 5%. And it's been a good stabilizer against, inflation. And you've seen gold set a big move lately, being concerned about inflation. So is Bitcoin. But Bitcoin was originally sold to me as a counterbalance to the equity market. In other words, it would move in a different direction. So if you had a big correction in the stock market, theoretically, Bitcoin would go the other way and it would protect your assets. That's not true. It has a very heavy correlation to the stock market. It too achieves new highs when the market achieves new highs. And when the market's correct, it too corrects. So it's very volatile. You saw it dip $3,000 last week. It's back up. It's moving all around the place. So I would argue it's fair enough. I have a couple of questions for you to answer and everybody that's listening. Why is it that only one cryptocurrency gets this designation, Bitcoin? Because if you bought a basket of cryptocurrencies 2 years ago, and there's many, many, many of them, you haven't made a lot of money. There's simply nothing like Bitcoin. And so it's the only one.
Wait, let's talk about that for 1 second. So if you think of an economy, right? Take the U.S. economy, for example. There's only one currency, right? The U.S. dollar. If you think of euro, right, there's one currency that is the nation state currency or kind of the selected currency, right? And if you kind of go to the global economy, right, there's really the global reserve currency, which is the dollar. And kind of each micro economy has their own currency. If you think of kind of the digital economy, right, you talked a lot about digitizing the world. The digital economy doesn't have a native currency, right? So if you were talking to somebody like a Jack Dorsey and ask him why is he so bullish on Bitcoin, what he would actually say is the first native currency of the internet or the digital world is Bitcoin. Now, the same thing applies, though, that you're not going to have 10 currencies, right? You're only going to have one currency that is native to that environment. And so it becomes this really interesting thing where if you think of it as an economy, right, Bitcoin does become that global reserve currency of the digital economy. Right.
Listen, on that, I totally agree, but that has not happened yet. Here's the problem. Let's say I want to use Bitcoin as a currency to make a large asset purchase. So just theoretically, I want to buy some real estate in Switzerland, okay? I want it to be above board. I'm not trying to do it on a clandestine basis. If today I wanted to send $1 million over to Switzerland, I would have to disclose why. I'd have to get permission. I'd have to notify, the banks. They would have to notify the regulators that this transfer is occurring, and I could purchase the land. If I tried to do that with Bitcoin, the problem is the seller is not willing to take the volatility risk of Bitcoin. So if you're valuing, a chateau at $10 million US or 10 million Swiss francs, and you want to pay in Bitcoin, you have to somehow guarantee that when the conversion hits and it goes back to Swiss francs or US dollars, that the seller gets the agreed upon amount. That tells me the sellers do not have the confidence to do large transactions yet in Bitcoin. The other issue with it is I agree with your premise that we could get an international global currency that I could avoid exchange fees. In other words, when I want to go buy something in British pounds, I have to pay the conversion fee from the US dollar, which I do all the time because I have an ETF in England and I have one in euro and I have one in Swiss francs. So I have that major headache. I wish I could just do it with Bitcoin. I can't. And so the reason is the regulators in these countries don't agree yet that Bitcoin is the standard. So if all the regulators agreed that Bitcoin was the standard for the globe, you would be 100% correct. But that is not the case right now. I totally agree with your premise that the globe needs a digital currency. 100% would I agree. If you told me the Swiss and the Euro and the American and the Canadian, Australian governments agreed to whatever that is, I would put up to 20% of my portfolio in it, because then I could move across those geographies easily without paying all the fees associated with converting from one currency to another. Love that idea. Now, that was attempted as a payment service with Facebook, as you recall, an initiative that started early last year that went nowhere so far. But that was a great idea because they wanted approval from the government. But the Fed didn't give them that, and the SEC didn't either, not yet. But I think it's inevitable. You're correct. But you have to bet, if you're betting on Bitcoin, if you're buying it today at 18,000, whatever it is, that that is going to be the de facto currency. And I don't think you have enough assuredness of that yet.
Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting is, like, you really highlighted an important point, which is the Bitcoin ETF, right? Because people in the Bitcoin community, what they would argue is, there's companies that have bought Bitcoin, so you can buy the companies and kind of get indirect exposure. There's things like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which really is kind of this, again, you get an ETF-like product, but it's not actually an ETF. In international exchanges, you can get ETPs and things like that, but there hasn't been that ETF. And I think many people who listen to this that come from the Bitcoin world will actually be surprised to understand that traditional investors, the ETF is this big kind of breaking of the dam or kind of approval point that will allow a lot of capital to flow in that just is sitting on the sideline saying, hey, this is interesting, but I'm not going to buy it until we have that kind of approval or check mark, right?
Oh, what I would like, and the reason I suggest an ETF, I'm very comfortable with ETFs and I live in that world. The majority of my money invested is in ETFs and the ones I've created myself. OUSA, OGIG, OEUR, OUSM. They've been very good capsules of preservation of wealth for me because I helped design them myself. What I would like to have in a cryptocurrency would give me the top 7 cryptocurrencies, put them into an ETF wrapper, and let me invest in it with liquidity so that I can, if I want to buy $1 million worth of it in the morning and sell $1 million in the afternoon, I can do that in an ETF format. But to me, I don't believe that you can only have one successful cryptocurrency. There must be the idea that there's other and alternative ways, Ethereum and others, that would also benefit from the overall move to a cryptocurrency payment system, preservation of wealth vehicle, whatever it's going to be. And I would prefer to own them in a probably market cap weighted basis in an ETF. That to me would make a lot of sense. And frankly, I'm not the only person that says this. Many others would. But when you go to the regulator, like the Winklevoss twins have done, and I think many others have applied for these applications, I even looked at it once, never went anywhere with it because the regulator basically said no. The importance of the institutional investor long-term to support a sector. You want that institutional investor supporting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. They're not there yet. It's a slow creep into it, but you can't deny the success of Bitcoin this year. But it's just this year. What happens if there's a correction next year? That's the issue institutions have.
Life is hard. See, it's hard when you're 49 years old, been working on a job for 17 years, and they come in and tell you you're finished and give you 1 week severance pay. And you got to start all over again. It's hard when you're married and raising children and your children are crawling and your husband dies unexpectedly. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard when you're working on something and you put everything you have in it and it doesn't work out. You lose your money and other people's money. It's hard.
The fact that many people become discouraged when they use affirmations, they listen to tapes, they read books, they do all of the things that are required of them to develop their consciousness, and things still don't happen. They affirm, I can do it, yes I can, and yes I will. I'm blessed and highly favored, and nothing happens, and they become frustrated. They become discouraged and disillusioned, and they quit.
I had like $106 in the bank, and I had to sell my dog, and things were not looking very, very good. My $40 car had just blown up, so I was taking a bus to work. I had no film history, no real film knowledge. I was just working. So often I had gone to fight films or sporting films. Yes, we're going to go out there, we're going to knock him out, you're going to win. I said, no, I'm not going to win. I'm going to get destroyed. If I can just be lucid, if I can still be standing on my feet, you know what? Then life isn't so bad. And I think at the very end of our lives, if we can still say, you know, we were never humbled, we were knocked down, but we got up, and I can say, I lived life with integrity and I took all the blows and I still prevailed, then you feel as though you're invincible. You can take all that life has to dish out.
Life is going to happen. And you're going to set up a plan and you're going to have a vision and you're going to hope that it's going to turn out perfect. But what so often happens in life is that things get burned. And things go the wrong way. And it's in that moment that you're going to have to choose your reaction. You have a choice to make.
Some of you are in the darkest of darkest valleys. I don't know what you're going through, but I know what you need. Hope. And I want you to know that beautiful things can come from your broken pieces when you give your broken pieces a chance.
It is okay to be scared. It is okay to cry. But giving up is not.
There's going to come a time in your life when you reach your lowest point, where your friends are nowhere around. If you have family, they can't help you. And it seems like there's no light at the end of your tunnel. Now you're going to feel defeated, but I'm going to tell you right now, today, not to give up.
When you get into a tight spot and everything goes against you until it seems that you cannot hold on for a minute longer, never give up then, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn.
Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way. And you're going to be okay with it. Pull yourself together and quit tripping, because you're in the process. God is processing you. He ain't through with you. If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning.
There's going to be things that go on that are out of your control. The worst thing you can do is let something that's out of your control you. Get control of yourself, get control of your emotions. Don't get angry, don't get frustrated. Instead, stay calm and figure out how to move forward.
All you do is you fall down, get back up again, fall down, get back up again, fall down, get back up again.
And it doesn't matter how you get knocked down in life, because that's going to happen. All that matters is that you got to get up.
The sun doesn't shine every day. The storms will come. There will be times when the darkness seems to consume everything.
When life seems like it's at its worst, you can't see the prosperity that is hiding right behind it. You can't look past the clouds and the storm that you're currently in. Well, you and I both know that whenever a storm is over, the sun always comes out.
But don't let it consume you. Even in the darkest times, even in the strongest storms, even when the sun is blotted out and the world is falling apart, the darkness cannot extinguish your light. No matter what is happening, no matter how hard the fight is, as long as you keep fighting, you win.
Your hardships, your challenges, your situation will either be the reason you don't make it, or it will be the story you tell when you do make it. And you get to make that choice.
Only surrender is defeat. Only quitting is the end. Fight on. It is time for you to fight harder, to dig in, to go on the warpath, to assess what the problems are and decide which one you are going to attack first. Then, attack. It won't be easy. In fact, it will be hard. Life is hard. That's what life is. And these challenges that you face, they are going to do their best to take you down. Do not let them.
I don't care if you have to
inch your way day by day. Even if you have to get down and it hurts and it's hard and nobody can see what you're really going through. If you don't quit, the pit will become your platform. I'm telling somebody right now, your lowest moment will be the place of your greatest testimony.
I don't care how dark it looks for you. I don't care what they done said to you. I don't care what the verdict is. I don't care what the haters say. It ain't over. No matter what happens to you, it ain't over. Ain't no such a thing as over. Do you know, man, that you can actually mess your life completely up? You can jack it all the way up, and you can turn around and get it right. Do you know that you can be divorced multiple times and still be okay? Do you understand that you cannot have a degree and still be just fine?
If you're struggling right now and you're having a hard time and you're pissed off and you're frustrated, know two things. One, you're not alone. Two, this is necessary for you to get where you want to go. And if you quit, if you falter, if you stop, all the pain will be for nothing. And you need to remember that.
When you feel like giving up, don't. When you're thinking about giving up, don't. When it look like you ain't gonna make it, keep going. When they tell you you can't, come on, man, who are they? When they tell you to put all your stuff back on your desk, don't do that, man. Don't do that. When they tell you you're not gonna make it, don't believe them, man. Don't believe them. You got to be relentless.
You're not a manager of your life, you're a creator of your life, or you wouldn't be in this room. How do you create your life? You get hungry for something, don't you? You decided there's something you wanted so bad that you unleashed all your desire. You became obsessed with it. If there's something you once envisioned and now it's real, it's because you didn't just envision it, you brought so much emotion to it that now it's in your life. It was once a dream, it was once a goal, and now it's in your life. Wherever focus goes, energy flows.
Line up those problems, confront them, face them, fight them. Do not let them. And you keep fighting no matter what. And you never quit. You never quit.
I want to say to you, get up. Your future is brighter than your past. Get up. Your ladder is greater than your former. I want to say to every person in this room, get up, because the best is still yet to come.
This is a message for people who have messed up, failed, faltered, blew it, did something stupid, got yourself in trouble, and you think your life is over because you did something stupid. No. Your life is not over. Yes, they're gonna talk about you. Yes, they're gonna bring up your past. Yes, there's gonna be a chatter. Yes, there's gonna be a threat over your head. But nothing that the enemy is chattering about has put out your fire. Oh my God.
Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. You don't have a shortage of talent. You don't have a shortage of gifting. Your problem is you have corrupted character. And if your character is corrupted, it doesn't matter how talented you are. When push comes to shove, you will not last and you will not fulfill the mission God has for your life. And the best way to get good character is to remove bad company. Somebody say, check your circle.
I'm telling you, in every person's life, there's always a degree of chatter. Some little underground noise. Here you trying to be a mama and you never had one. You trying to be a daddy, what you know about being a dad? There's always some background noise to what you are trying to do. You gonna open up a business and you 2 months behind in your rents. And the moment you raise your hand and says, I'm going to do something, I can guarantee you that somebody's not going to agree with what you're going to do. Somebody's not going to be supportive of what you're trying to do. Somebody's going to try to assassinate what you're trying to do. And yet you have to have the commitment and the calling and the tenacity and the character to be able to withstand the onslaught that comes against you in order to proceed toward your destiny and toward your purpose.
You want friends who, when something good happens to you, that's good for you, right? They're happy about that. They're not like all bitter and resentful underground, like saying horrible things behind your back and telling you how they did something that was better and trying to drag you down. It's like, that's not helpful. And then when something bad happens to you and you go to them and you say, look, this terrible thing happened to me. First of all, they don't try to top it with some like horrible thing that happened to them because they don't have the patience to listen. And second, they're not secretly gloating about the fact that catastrophe finally befell you. It's like they're actually hurt by it. And that chapter is an injunction. It's like, take a look at the people that are around you. And if they're not on the side of what's good for you, then walk away.
I learned more about who I was from my haters. I had no idea I was even important enough to be hated on the level I was hated on. I couldn't even defend myself because I was shocked that you cared enough to write anything about me. Who am I that you would care anyway? Your hatred of me helped to tutor me into understanding my own significance. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying?
I think the biggest vulnerability you've got is you actually value somebody's opinion more than you value your own. Like, the reason I've been able to always do my thing is when I was 24 and people were like, oh, you work at your dad's liquor store? I heard that as like a chip on my shoulder, you know? I loved it. I was like, cool, keep sleeping on me, you know? Like, I'm glad you're on Wall Street making $100,000 buying BMWs and dumb jewelry. I'll see you in 30 years. Like, to me, the way you win is you realize you can't hear nobody. You gotta get real quiet up here. I can't hear anything. You go look at my Instagram right now, my first post, I'll post something, first 100 replies in 1 second. You're Jesus. You walk on water. You're the best. You're the all-time. Can't hear him. The next 100, you're a piece of, you're full of, you're a snake oil salesman. Can't hear him. I'm in my own mind, doing my own thing. And that comes with self-esteem. Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm not worried about you renting out cash from the bank and putting it to your ear. I'm not worried you jumped a fence and took a photo in front of a private plane. What do you think these people are doing? They're posing.
You have goals and dreams you want to achieve. Ask yourself the question, who should I count on and who should I count out? And so many people never achieve their goals because they have too many toxic, negative, energy-draining people in their lives. And you have to have goals outside of your comfort zone that will challenge you, because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been.
And I'm going to tell you, I am amazed today at the people who allow criticism to shut down their assignment, who shrink into the abyss of depression, who walk away from what they have been called to do simply because everybody didn't validate them and support them. They simply gave up. It's amazing. In fact, I would be bodacious enough to say that you don't deserve the right to lead if you walk away just because somebody didn't agree with you. You don't need anybody who will just stand when times are good. You need somebody to stand when things are tough. I don't just need a good mama on a good day when the sun is shining and we can get along and everything's going. I need a good mama when the money is low, the circumstances are bad, all hell is breaking loose, I'm in trouble, I've almost lost my mind, but somebody who's going to stand there and be good in the midst of bullying and adversity. I need somebody who's going to stand there and be strong. In fact, good leadership is determined by tough times. You can't prove you're a good leader in good times. You prove good leadership in bad times and tough situations. So you earn the right to be heard through the things you suffer.
Be very careful of people who manipulate and play on your emotions.
They get you to sympathize with them. They get you to feel sorry for them. This is not about being heartless. I need you to try your best to emotionally protect yourself from a specific characteristic.
Some of y'all are so used to operating overweight, you're never gonna get there. And guess what? You love negativity and dysfunction and keeping these negative people in your life so much. Even everything about this video, it makes you so uncomfortable, you probably stopped it a long time ago. I'm only talking to the people that are ready to get to the next level of their life and their career. And they're gonna boldly walk into the next season of their life, unapologetically, getting rid of all things, people, and situations that no longer belong in their life.
You run around with losers, you will end up a loser. Unconsciously, you will pick up their ways, you'll pick up their habits, you'll pick up, most importantly, their attitude about life. If you're around cynical, negative people all the time, you will become cynical and negative. Align yourself with people that can encourage you, people that can empower you, people that you can learn from, people that you can grow from. That's very important.
You're rich before you got the money. You're educated before you got the degree. You're a leader before you get the job. You're a visionary before you become a CEO. You're a wife before you get married. You're a husband before you find the woman. If you're not that before, you won't be out. So you have to go through a period of displacement where you have vision to function on a level and don't have opportunity, which creates frustration. Because you say, I feel this with everything I got inside of me, but nothing outside has acknowledged me on the level that I think on. I'm under attack, but I'm still on fire. I got some chatter, but I'm still on fire. I got some threat, but I'm still on fire. I've been to hell and back, but I'm still burning. Last time I tried it, I got in trouble, but I'm still burning. I got some haters that's trying to destroy me, but I'm still burning. Does anybody understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
You want to align yourself with people who think like you, people who dream like you, people who want more out of life, people that are stretching and searching and seeking some higher ground in life, as opposed to the majority of people. Somebody said, always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. You see, you don't want to be on the bottom. See, it's easy to be on the bottom. It doesn't take any effort to be a loser. It doesn't take any motivation, any drive in order to stay down there on a low level. But it calls on everything in you, ladies and gentlemen. You have to harness your will to say, I'm going to challenge myself. Sometimes I have to pull myself out of bed and say, come on, Les. Things I know I should do, I don't do. Things I shouldn't do, I do. I found that the biggest enemy you have to deal with is yourself. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
Beware of vision, dream, and passion killers. Most of the people that have no dreams will wake up every day trying to talk you out of your dreams. They have no goals. They have nothing that they're ambitious about. So they will talk you out of all the shit that you're excited about. Family and friends, in most cases, sad to even say this, family and friends in most cases will be the first to try and talk you out of something that you're passionate, excited about, and that you have a vision for.
You can't try to help me by talking about me. It's totally different to talk to the person as opposed to talking about them. But all of us live in a world that we have to deal with criticism. And even amongst those who criticize us with evil intent, there may be something that you can learn from the criticism that will sharpen you and make you better. There are those people who say things maliciously and angrily to hurt, to assassinate you or your character or your talent or your ability. And even though their intentions are evil and wicked and corrupt, there may be some morsel of truth in what they said that helps you to hone yourself and prepare yourself and make yourself better so that you might be able to stand. Take what's good, leave what's bad, and keep on walking. When you are criticized, you are not ignored. That means that somebody noticed you, that you were doing something, that you attracted enough attention, that you made enough difference, that you got on the radar screen enough that they're talking about you. Don't run from them talking about you. They noticed you. They recognized you. There are some people that they're not talking about because they didn't even notice that they came in the room. You draw attention. And people who draw attention will also draw criticism. And the only way to avoid all criticism is to do nothing and then be ignored.
What we really want is not just success, we want fulfillment. The way we get fulfillment is self-respect, it's self-confidence. And that's how somehow in your life you must begin to separate what you do from what people think about it. The people that have really won in life and in business, they eventually drop the addiction to what other people think about them. They're most concerned about what they think about them, or if they're a person of faith, of what their God thinks about them, not the rest of the world. Because the higher you climb, the more haters you're going to have. There's absolutely no question about it. You ought to hope you have more of them. The only thing I will warn people of is the higher you climb, the closer to you the haters are. So right now, if you're at one level of success, it's people at a distance that are haters. But as you climb higher, there's always those one or two people in your close circle who begin to try to pull you back down because they think you're leaving them. They make you, your success is making them uncomfortable about where they are. And so they begin to do everything they can to pull you back down.
I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. But here's what I know. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. In the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine.
Anybody who is determined to do something, who wants something to be different, it will eventually be different. You're gifted, you're talented. God has much bigger plans for you in your life. Everything around you is going to change as soon as you change the things around you. It's very simple. You can be in the hood, change your mind, and everything about your bank account, your surroundings, your environment, for your kids, the safety of any and everything going on will all change. I'm tired of everybody running around complaining as if you're on the receiving end of whatever this world wants to dump on you and you don't have a choice. It's time to grow up, man. It's tired of people to really get out of this, excuses sound best to the person that's making them up. I want you to be successful. I want you to stop coming up with reasons and excuses as to why you're doing the same shit over and over and over and over.
Respect, my friend, is never given, it must be earned. People don't respect you just because you take a title or because you sit behind a desk or because you open up a business or because you start a company or because you start a ministry. People don't respect you just because you wear a certain outfit or you put a hat on your head. People respect you when you can take a licking and keep on ticking and stand for something.
It's going to take all the non-cognitive skills, to be great. You know, smart is good, all this stuff is good. That's all cognitive.
How many people in your immediate environment, those people who are in your sacred circle, represent people who are on the same mission as you? Or do you have a bunch of people on your list who are not on the same mission as you, and those individuals are pulling you down?
So one of the very best ways that you can develop the discipline of clear thinking is to sit in solitude for 30 to 60 minutes when you have a major problem or a major issue in your life.
You've got to show up when everyone is behind you. And you've got to show up when it feels like everyone is against you. You've got to show up when you feel like you're winning. And you've got to show up when you feel like you're losing is your time. And it's your turn, but you're going to have to be willing to. Endure the temporary struggle you're going to have to be willing to. Deal with the negative chatter in your head because it's not going away. You gotta manage it, you gotta confront your fears, you gotta confront your doubts. Success is not going to be handed to you, nobody owes you anything. But you owe everything you owe it to yourself to hang in there. When it gets hard, you owe it to yourself to get up every day and grind.
It's the non-cognitive skills that set you apart from everybody else. And that's what it's all about.
Talk to me about what it takes to be on one side of a door in Iraq or anywhere, knowing on the other side of the door people who are not afraid of you. They're ready for you to come in, and they have guns, and you still have to breach that door.
That's a great question. That's a very scary situation when you are on one side of the door and your mind is racing, because on the other side of that door, it could be no one. It could be 4 guys with 4 AK-47s. That door you're about to open could be booby-trapped. So once you open it, boom, your legs are gone. So there's 1,000 things you think about when you're the first guy, second guy, third guy.
E.T., how do you do what you do? I have cut off the people who are not on the same mission with me. And yes, they are very upset. And yes, they said some nasty things about me. But guess what? I cut them off anyway. And I've surrounded myself with people who have the same values, who have the same mindset, and people who want to accomplish what I want to accomplish. It says every day in Africa, in the safari, a lion wakes up. Every single day in the safari, a lion wakes up, right? And every single day in the safari, a gazelle wakes up. I love it. I love it. It says, though, here's what's funny. It says that if you wake up and you're a gazelle, you realize if you're going to survive as a gazelle, if you're going to survive, you must outrun the slowest gazelle. Right? In your mind, you're thinking you got to outrun the fastest lion. That's not the truth. You just got to stay ahead of the slow gazelle. That's it. Right? So every single day when you wake up, whatever it is that you do professionally, you better make sure you're not in the back of the pack. You better be as close to the front.
If you don't have time to focus on what other people are saying, you don't have time to focus on what other people are. Experiencing a failure feels like a loss. It's not failure, as your teacher is working for you behind the scenes, preparing you for your next win. There is no time like the present to fight for what belongs to your toughest moments are preparing you for your biggest victories. Go after what you want. And expect to get it when you are serious about hitting your goals. You don't quit when it gets hard. I don't care how many times you've tried. Try again, I don't care how many times you've heard no, ask again, I don't care how many times. You fall, get up, you don't stop.
Getting ready to go in a room and flood it. And that's why I talk about the warrior mentality. And that's why so many people are lost when I start talking. You have the right. You're lucky that you don't have to think like warriors think. You're very privileged. I chose this world to be a warrior. Now, and I would choose it again if I came back to this world. But the mentality of a warrior is very different than normal mentality. You must be that person on that door, get ready to open it, thinking to yourself, if I die, so be it. The only way you can go in that door is knowing there's a great chance you're going to die. It's like being a SEAL, you train with live ammo. You jump out of an airplane, everything you do, you could die. So to be a warrior, why people don't understand me, I'm glad you don't understand me. Merry Christmas, good on you.
Solitude has been discovered and rediscovered throughout all the history of man as the most powerful of all thinking tools. You see, if you can imagine a bucket of water with silt in it, and it's all churned up and you can't see anything, but if you leave the bucket of water to sit for a while, all the silt will drop to the bottom and the water will become perfectly clear. This is what happens for you in solitude. If you sit calmly by yourself with no noise, no distractions, nothing to read, just sit quietly, which takes tremendous discipline the first few times you do it, at about 25 or 26 minutes your mind goes clear. And any problem that you've been working on, the solution just pops into your mind. Any issue that you've been dealing with, the answer just comes to you. It's almost like a miracle.
The good skier is 2 or 3 times as productive because he or she is better at the key task. So say, what's the most important thing I do? And get better at it. it's the most amazing thing. I gave a talk yesterday for business people, and I can speak for 8 hours. I often do full-day seminars. I had 12 minutes. So what I did is I took a whole series of ideas and I condensed them around 3 key ideas and 3 graphs, and did the whole thing in about 12 minutes. And they said it was one of the best talks they had ever given, because they just took up the page really, really fast and cover the most important points. In your business, say, if I was really, really good at prospecting, well, then I would have far more better people to speak to. So therefore, I'm going to get really, really good at prospecting. Now, another way that you can get more done faster is to work with other people, is to do things together.
When you practice solitude, you actually activate your superconscious mind and your intuition. And something that you've been having trouble with or wrestling with suddenly becomes clear, and you know exactly what to do. Now, here's the wonderful thing about solitude. Everybody who practices it will tell you it's incredible. And if you've never done it before, just practice it once. Sometime today, take 25, 30 minutes, take an hour if you can, and just sit quietly by yourself and allow your mind to calm. Sometimes it's called mind calming. And just allow yourself to calm down and think. And the most amazing things will happen. You'll start to make better decisions. You'll start to hear what is called the still small voice within. And the still small voice sometimes will shout at you so loudly, you will be amazed. Now here's another way to think better. When you're dealing with any kind of a situation, write down every detail of the problem or situation. Take a sheet of paper, and the rule is think on paper, and write down every detail. How it happened, what's going on, the problems, the concerns, the cost, who's involved. Just write it down.
When you get frustrated, you pursue for as long as it takes. So I have a question for you when you're disciplined enough to keep going. Music. Can I tell you something? You ain't met the real you. Until you have to use your power, that's the real you. Many of you, you're like a superhero. Truth be told you ought to rejoice, because you have love, power, joy, power, faith, power. You also have come back power. What is come back power? Come back powered is the ability to overcome any obstacle, challenge, or difficulty. You have this innate ability, this instinct on the inside. Come back from. Anything your human side quits everything quickly.
Get people who cooperate. For instance, sometimes I will sign 100 books, but when I've agreed with a client that I'll autograph 100 books, then I have 2 people, my staff members. One sits on one side and they open the book forward, open to the signature page. And I quickly sign it and shove it to my right, and there's a second person there that takes the book and packs it. And so it goes bang, 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 bang. I can get to 100 books in 10 minutes. Whereas if I did it myself, it would take me half an hour. So sometimes you can work with others. Another thing we talked about is bunch your tasks. Bunching your tasks means do a lot of, again, like signing books, sign all 100 books at once. Do all of your letters or proposals at once. Do all of your prospecting at once. Bunch your tasks. And another thing that you can do, and one of the greatest of all time savers, is to downsize, outsource, delegate, and eliminate low-value tasks.
You start relationship on Monday, and did you quit it by Wednesday because y'all miscommunicate because you miss one text, and it's over. That's your human side. But then you've got this other side that can come back from anything. There's a part of you that don't throw in towers. There's a party that never says die. There's a part of you that refuses to quit. There's a part of you that is long-suffering. There's a part of you that, when you get down for the count, they count up to 8, they can count to 9. But 10, you are back on your feet. There's a part of you that no matter what comes your way, you just got to bounce back up to you can't stay down.